A preacher here in Leslie County has his side-by-side stolen while his family is at church. I'll have the details and his plea to the people who did it coming up.
As snow continues to come down in Harlan County, crews are trying to get ahead of the game. We'll have more in just a few minutes.
Sunshine returns tomorrow and continues into the weekend, but when will our next rainmaker arrive? Well, I'll have those details right now at 6.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A family in the Cutchin community of Leslie County had their side-by-side stolen from them on Sunday. WYMT's Connor James talked with the owner, who is also a local preacher, about his efforts to get it back.
Right off Witt Road lives Billy Adams. He and his family have made this little community in Leslie County their home.
I've lived in Leslie County and in this area for my entire life.
Sunday he was asleep, recovering from an allergic reaction. His family at church.
Unaware, my side-by-side was here in the front yard, and it was taken.
There's an added level of disappointment for Adams. A preacher himself, the crime happened on the day he holds sacred.
For something to be taken on a day that we worship the Lord and an act of crime, it's just, I'm still in awe. I'm still in confusion, and I don't really understand why.
This is what the side-by-side looks like. It says Daniels in red letters across the windshield. He hasn't paid this off yet.
That being said, now I'm going to have to continue to pay for it and it not be here.
His message is this could happen to anyone, and although a financial strain, he says his faith has taught him not to be angry.
And I pray for those people. I really do.
In Leslie County, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
There is a $1,000 reward offered for the return of the side-by-side. Anyone with information is asked to call the Leslie County Sheriff's Office. A man will spend at least 25 years in prison after murdering 3 people in March of 2018. Lance Ward was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. Ward shot and killed Micah Sammons, Derek James, and Amber Locker near the Pike-Martin County line. He pleaded guilty to the murders. A grand jury will hear the case of a Letcher County man who faces child pornography charges. At the time of his arrest, Dalton Bates was the Wise Central High School band director. He's facing 20 counts of possessing child porn and 1 count of distributing it. Bates pleaded not guilty last week. We do not know when Bates's next court date will be. A woman is accused of stealing steaks at an IGA in London. This is Kendra M. Walling. Police say earlier today she concealed several steaks in her pants while she was at EC Porter IGA. An employee confronted Walling. Police say the steaks were valued at $123. Walling is facing charges of second-degree robbery. She was taken to the Laurel County Detention Center.
And it was a pretty day in the mountains for some of us that definitely got to see that snow. Others, it was just a little bit on the gloomy side throughout the day. US 119 over into Pine Mountain, of course, got some snow today. They always get in on the fun. Looking at a little bit about maybe a dusting to not quite an inch up there, but roads are looking okay, a little bit wet and likely to get slick as we head into tonight. But just down the road into Whitesburg, they're looking pretty good. A little bit on the wet side, but definitely not seeing any accumulating snow down there. So we've seen some snow showers for some of us throughout the day, and now we're going to see some clearing as we head into tonight. So as we head throughout the rest of the evening hours, maybe some light snow showers, mostly cloudy skies turn to partly cloudy skies. Then those turn to clear skies as we head into the early morning hours. Temperatures will be dropping into the teens, but does sunshine return tomorrow? We'll have that answer coming up in a little bit.
All right, Paige. Well, most of us only saw flurries today or even nothing at all, but it's a different story in Harlan County where there was accumulation in the higher elevations. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds rode along with road crews trying to get ahead of the snow.
Staying one step ahead. That is what's keeping Harlan County road crews on their toes.
Especially in the Lynch area, the Clover Lick area, and then certain parts across Pine Mountain, there'll be snow there where there isn't snow anywhere else.
To Duncan Caldwell, it's more than a job.
But this is my home, and to help these people, to help the communities,
That is why he is an expert at hitting the roads before the snow has a chance to wreak havoc.
When you get down into the teens in temperature, salt doesn't work or isn't as effective as if it was in the 20s or the 30s.
Right now, crews are spread thin, still recovering from flooding just weeks ago. The snow,
Wash out.
the last thing they needed.
Well, if it sticks and it amounts to anything, and then the next day if it warms up real quick and melts off, it could cause a problem.
So he does all this just to make sure his hometown is safe.
It's easier for us to remove the snow, and if emergency does happen, then there's something already there to help with certain situations.
A dedication that will weather any storm. In Harlan County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
Unfortunately, it didn't get too bad today. You can always download our WYMT weather app for the latest weather conditions at all times. Well, after floodwaters poured through Archer Park in Prestonsburg last week, city officials say the time has come to make some changes. WYMT's Buddy Forbes spoke to officials who say the cleanup efforts and damages to the park are becoming much too common, so they are making plans for the future of the city's beloved space.
A reoccurring issue in Prestonsburg.
It impacts our tourism, it impacts our economy, it impacts just happiness, quality of life.
As floodwaters once again force crews to devote more time to cleaning up Archer Park.
Well, this time of year, there's a lot of things we need to be doing other than cleaning up flood mud. So we're getting behind in other areas.
Flooding usually impacts the park every year, but the issue is now becoming more frequent, with barely 2 months between the last flooding and the most recent.
We have one building that we're losing because of the flood. It keeps eroding the ground underneath the building. It's washing it out.
Rebuilding will cost the city $70,000, which they say is only part of the inconvenience.
We'll have spring soccer this year. They may have to move them to the college because these bottoms won't be dry enough.
The park is a tourist attraction, which is why Mayor Les Stapleton proposes the city reroute the current water that flows through the area and raise the park 40 feet.
Which will bring it level with the offices and the pool and stuff over there. If we can raise it that much, move the creek back on the hillside, man, that's going to make such an impact here.
He says that will take time and teamwork.
Environmental people obviously going to have to deal with it. Division of Water, Corps of Engineers, and there's just so many different steps along the way. I'm going to try to bring them all to the table one time so we can actually get a game plan of what we're going to have to do.
But he believes raising the park is the best way.
It's going to make an impact like which people really won't realize.
To give the community the lift it needs. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Stapleton says the plans are all in the early stages and have not been formally discussed with local and state leaders. He says the city is just looking for some relief. 1 week ago today, a quiet community in Pike County was startled by sounds of a fiery train derailment. This is footage from that day. A mudslide from recent rains was blamed for the derailment in Draffin. Local rescue crews hurried to reach the 2 engineers by boat, and both fortunately made it out safely. The train was carrying ethanol. Now this is a picture from earlier this morning. CSX removed all of the contaminated soil, cleared the slide area, and is readying the area for track repair. This ends the emergency phase. The company is still continuing long-term monitoring of the site, including water samples. A medical marijuana bill has taken another step forward. About an hour ago, Kentucky House lawmakers voted 65-30 in favor of the bill. That comes after hours of debate on the House floor. This is the furthest a medical marijuana bill has made it in Frankfort. But this proposal comes with a list of restrictions if it is passed in the Senate. And that includes not allowing people to smoke medical marijuana. Olivia Russell is in Frankfort with a look at the debate.
The vote to pass House Bill 136 came after more than 2 hours of testimony on the floor.
House Bill 136.
18 amendments were proposed to the medical marijuana bill. Some tightened language, others proposed more restrictions. A couple of those restrictions include no smoking and no public use. Lead sponsor Representative Jason Nemes called it the tightest medical marijuana bill in the country and based on many years of research.
We worked on this bill a long time. We've met with stakeholders from law enforcement, stakeholders, constituents, regular folks, patients, physicians, chiropractors, I mean, you name it, we've been there.
The bill passed with a vote of 65 to 30, meaning nearly 1/3 of representatives present were opposed to this bill. Those lawmakers made their opinions heard. Some argue the potential for criminal abuse. Representative Stan Lee says he believes this bill will be a gateway to legalizing recreational marijuana.
And there's not a person in here right now that's looking at me that doesn't know that that's coming. It's going to come. I hope it doesn't, but you know it's going to come.
But despite the opposition, the bill will now go to the Senate, where more lengthy discussions could happen.
And it's time to go over there and start making the case stronger than we've made it before.
Olivia Russell, WYMT Mountain News.
There are 19 states, including Kentucky, where marijuana, either medicinal or recreational, is illegal. A bill requiring a photo ID to vote is moving forward at the state capitol. A House committee heard testimony today for Senate Bill 2. It's already passed in the Senate, is now one step closer to passing the House. Secretary of State Michael Adams says requiring a photo ID will help restore confidence in the voting process, but Adams is open to compromise after critics say requiring a photo ID could hurt voter turnout for such a big election coming up like the presidential race in November.
I sincerely want a bill that's workable, that actually does what it's intended to do, but also doesn't have externalities that are negative. I also want a bill that will be constitutional.
Under the current bill, you can still vote without an ID by signing an affidavit swearing you are who you say you are. The bill now goes to the full House.
Chilly temperatures continue tomorrow, but we warm up as we head into the weekend and the new work week. But we are going to be tracking some more rain by that new work week. I'll have those details coming up in just a little bit.
But first, a police chief in eastern Kentucky is trying to make sure police officers killed in the line of duty are not forgotten.